Here we
Okay.
go. There we are.
Okay. We're on. We're live. We're streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this gorgeous panel on this wonderful April evening. Hi, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Fantastic.
Got a fantastic from Daria. How you doing, Danielle?
Wonderful.
Okay.
Blessed
Shanice,
and
how you
highly
doing?
favored. Yep.
Blessed and highly
Yes.
favored. Love that. Shanice?
Awesome.
Okay. And Alana?
I am fabulous.
Fabulous. Good. I am full. I just had an amazing dinner from Wegmans.
Oh.
And so, yeah, pork chops and string beans. It was delicious. So I'm feeling good. Yeah. So everybody's good. It's spring. Really high pollen count today.
Is whiplash. It was 80 plus, what was it? Almost 90 degrees.
Mhm,
I have
today.
weather whiplash.
Yes. And tomorrow prepare for high of 60s, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, it's all over the map here in our great state, but we're okay. We're fed and housed and we're doing all right, and we're still reading our book. So,
Absolutely.
let's get to it. It's after 7, so whoever's joining us, I'm sure will be joining us. We'll monitor the chats.
Yep.
But we've got everybody on that we know read the book, so we can have a great conversation about The Half Sister by Sandie Jones. So, first question always, did you like the book?
Who you starting with?
I wasn't going to pick. I was just going to let you. Got to change it up every now and then. Alana, why don't you go?
I will say that I did enjoy the book. I was not sure where it was going to go up until the very end, which is always a good thing for me. It was very real, very relatable, just very intense, and I enjoyed it.
Nice. Danielle, did you enjoy the book?
I did enjoy the book. Yes, the whole time reading it, it's a book written for entertainment, and it definitely entertained me. And it was a nice read, enjoyable read. I felt like I was treating myself every time I read it.
Very nice. Daria?
I would say kudos to Sandie Jones because we've read, I think, at least one of her books in the past, and two. Okay. And what was it? The Other Woman, right?
The Other Woman.
Yeah, her characters are very relatable. And you find yourself comparing and contrasting with life experiences. There's things that happen that you just say, okay, yep, this feels very real.
Yeah.
So I like that because you could imagine this actually happening in real life. So I appreciate that about her writing.
Cool. And Shanice, what about you?
Oh, the same thing. I mirror everything everybody else said. I couldn't put it down. I read it in like 2 or 3 days. And I found myself reading a book instead of watching TV. And I prefer to watch TV over reading books some days. So it was a very good read for me. I really enjoyed it. I finished it like a week and a half ago. So you might have to refresh my mind.
Oh, no worries. But that's good if you're picking up the book instead of watching TV or doing something else. Mm-hmm. And, book club books are supposed to be enjoyable. That you should feel good when you're reaching for it or listening to it. So that's a good thing. I enjoyed the book. I think that it was a really high bar to try to meet with her other 2 writings. So, of course, as your facilitator, I did some research and looked at the reviews. And I think that was a common, statement and feedback. I thought it was really going to be hard to match the First Mistake and, The Other Woman. And so this is definitely like book number 3. And for me, it read like book number 3, but it was very realistic, connecting with the characters. And definitely different emotions could, become a part of it. Like you could feel. So going to feelings, how did the book make you feel? Were you entertained? Were you, did anything upset you? Was it animated enough for you? Where were your emotions on the continuum?
So I'm laughing because I'm looking at my sister's face and I know why she's making the expressions that she's making. There is a whole lot in this story that felt like someone reached into our lives.
Right.
And I was like, oh, and it was like, yep, this could happen. Yep, this really happened. And this is exactly the way this will play out. Yep. And so it was entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
It like I said before, it was relatable. I'm glad that I didn't read this book any earlier in my life, so that I could truly enjoy it without being triggered.
Yeah.
But it, like I could see this making a really good movie also,
Mm-hmm. For sure.
or a series on Netflix.
Shanice.
Yeah. I'm on the live, and Miss Lohman said, "Good evening, ladies. I enjoyed the book. It was entertaining and it was an easy read. She wanted to answer your question." So
thank
Hi,
you.
Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. That's awesome. Oh yeah, that's good. It was entertaining and an easy read. Danielle, did you want to jump in on that about emotions or feelings about the book?
Yeah, the part that like I guess I related to was like the I forget the sister now, the one that had to take care of the kids and had the husband that just Lauren. I related to like how the husband could just leave and she's there with the children. So that part, like, you know, not that I've had abusive relationships or anything, but parts of that ring true, you know, for me in my past. So that not trigger me, but I was like, I guess it not trigger, but it just like upset me for her, you know. But then just made me happy, like that I'm not in anything like that, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
When I thought that one husband was going to end up being bad, and that bothered me.
Oh, Matt.
He seemed
husband.
so good at first, and I'm like, don't tell me he's not good.
I was happy he was good all the way through.
Me too. Yeah,
I agree. You know, that just the male characters for a lot of these books, you know, have been all over the map. I mean, and so this book, I think at least some of the bad had some of the good too. So obviously like the father and obviously Lauren's husband, you know, not great stellar men, but at least Matt was who we saw was really the guy who he ended up being. And I thought that was great. I think, you know, movie worthy for sure. I think high interest, makes you wonder about, you know, all kinds of family dynamics. I thought the relationship with the mother was a very interesting relationship. You know, Rose and, you know, protecting the family and feeling she's doing all these things, protecting at the same time, really untangling and really not speaking the truth, you know, when it was time. And so like, you know, the characters in the book, you know, you just mentioned Lauren, Danielle, and seeing some familiarity in her experience. Were there any other characters that really resonated with you or you thought about that stood out?
The relation. Oh, go ahead, Daria.
No, I don't know if that's the exact question I was looking to chime in on. It was more the thought of that seeing how people in this book behaved reminded me of how much people want answers. Everybody wants answers. Everybody wants to know, like feel like they know things and they're not in the dark. And in the absence of information, you're going to imagine what the answers are until you can prove or disprove what your imagination is telling you. So that's the part of this, like you asked about how do I feel or how do we feel, the previous question. That was very triggering for me because I'm always like trying to figure out, like solve the mystery. Stop laughing, Alana. So, you know, that's really what this book was about. And it was about an aspect of just personal experience that I also have been trying to solve mysteries about. So that's what was it felt very close to home.
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure. I could see that. So you think in terms of like themes in the story, are those just, to your point, Daria, with people wanting to know and have answers, know the truth, what kind of other themes do you think kind of stood out in the book, about that? There are a lot of course, different dynamics, different relationships, but any other themes that kind of, stood out to you?
Loyalty.
Any of you? Loyalty, you said? Loyalty.
The relationship with sisters. And it made me think a lot about Daria and I, because no matter what happens, you're never gonna get along with somebody 100% of the time. And one, you saw how they were making assumptions about each other based on what they saw, and the other must have been happy or whatever.
Right.
And it's like, oh, that's really what you're thinking about your life or whatever. But then, even though they weren't as close as they were at certain times, they were always going to have each other's back.
Yes.
And it was like if one needed the other, they were going to be there. And they would challenge each other at times. But they were also, it was like, you could see sometimes they could drive each other crazy, but they loved each other fiercely.
Well, the loyalty piece for sure. I think that the sibling dynamics definitely played a big part in this. I think about, I guess I have two sisters as well. The mother-daughter dynamic with both of them too, I thought was an interesting one. How different it was. What do you all think about that? How like with one child, you can have one kind of relationship, with another, you focus on a whole bunch of different things. And I felt like Rose was definitely that person. And I don't know if it was because the father balanced it out a different kind of way, and his passing, brought some of that to light. But I felt like that was something that was very observable for me.
I know this isn't a question you asked, but I wish we could have heard his side. We didn't hear from the dad at all. It's just what the mom made up, and we know the mom ended up killing the girl, but we didn't hear the full story. We didn't hear,
what made all of that transpire, why he wanted to leave, or why he wasn't happy, or
what part was true.
Right.
Well, there's one thing I wanted to go back when you talked about themes. You said one of the things that I thought was important, even for us in our society today, that we don't really talk about, and it's something I don't want to say it's dear to me, but it's dear to some of my close friends that I really had to look a different way, is not being able to get pregnant and being like late in your 30s and 40s and wanting that child and just having to deal with that topic. That to me is deep. Most of us on here have children, but sometimes being sensitive to the people that don't, and just how to deal with that with your friend, or with a sister or with somebody like that. That was something. It was, well, she ended up getting pregnant, but she went through a lot, and the humiliation of it. And, just like I said, knowing people that have dealt with that, it's hard. It's very hard for them.
That's a good point.
Talk about it. And I just thought I liked how they delve into that, because that's a really deep thing of what they have to deal with. And, sometimes you don't see that because you might have got pregnant easy, but it's very emotional.
Or people, like if you're going through that, you're not going to walk around talking about it.
Yeah. And that's true. And how do you, and it's really hard because you're talking about your kids all the time. And those people are like, well,
or
I don't want to be around them no more.
They're like, oh, are you getting married? Are you having kids? Like, mind your business. Like, just say hello. Because you don't know what they're going through or what their beliefs are. Just,
as a person who has never been married and does not have kids, it is so annoying when people are just like, why haven't you had any kids?
Right.
Why haven't you gotten married? And it's like, do you really want the detailed story? of like all the wrong men that I've met or my detailed medical history.
No, they don't. They
Why
just
it's
want
not a good idea for me to carry a child.
Yeah.
It's like,
No.
yeah, like why haven't you learned manners and appropriate
Yeah,
social
right.
norms? Like that's
Right.
what I would want to ask them.
And it's like, and people, and because it's not like, why haven't you tried this particular restaurant? It's like, these are big things. Like, I'm glad I never had a child with these people that I had been involved with.
Right.
And which is a good thing.
Good point. Right. But that is true. I mean, I think you know that you bring up a really good point, Shanice, about, you know, these different societal expectations, and this plays out through, you know, throughout the book for sure. Did you like the pace of the book? Did it go too fast for you or too slow?
It was good. It was perfect.
You know,
I feel like a lot came together at the end, like a lot in the last, like, say, 30 pages. And I was conscious of that because I was finishing it up today. And I felt like I had to pay more close attention on every page because there was so much stuff being revealed in such a short amount of pages.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I rebound the last chapter twice.
I felt like, you know what I always say to you ladies, I feel like that was almost, it felt like a little deadline-y to me because there was just a lot of content in the last few chapters. And it's like,
Elise has a question. She has a statement. I don't know if you're following her.
No, I'm not.
I'm watching, but you go ahead, Shanice, this time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Sorry.
No,
Elise
thank
says,
Thank you.
I think I could somewhat relate to Rose because I feel like so many mothers want to protect their secrets to protect their families. It makes me wonder how many secrets exist in my childhood family. And I think I can agree with her too, with Elise.
Yeah, I mean, Elisa, really good point. I mean, I think that's I mean, you know, when I'm talking about the pace of the book, I'm talking about just like the themes. These are the big areas, you know, for this book. And this book is definitely a popular one. It's on a lot of different lists because I think it does bring up so many realistic topics and relationships and issues. And I think, you know, the question comes when you read a book, you know, what do I do with this information? You know, was it just entertainment? Does this drive me to look and make a quest for something? You know, what kind of impact does a book have on you? Some books, nothing. Some books you remember forever. Some books you're happy to forget, you know? And so like this, you know, book didn't have its own book club questions yet because it's actually a really new book. So I know we were tracking on it last year in 2020 or early 2020, and then it came out late 2020 to get it on our list. But I think it's one of those books that really transcends all kinds of groups of people and really creates those kinds of conversations. Elisa, to your point about now, I'm thinking back to my own childhood and my own, you know, first family. You know, what may or may not have been a perception or a reality, and is there like any more information I can find out about that? You know?
Yes, there always is.
Yeah. And
yeah, for sure.
And I'll say from the, like, in terms of the pacing, with the type of situation that was presented in the book, they did, Sandie Jones did a very good job, in my opinion, of like presenting some of the things that, of the ways that people use the information that's on like some of these websites. Because it has been used to solve crimes. Like I've seen this on the ID channel and things like that. But the reality is that, you know, you put this information out there, and then there's all this emotional processing. And then there could be something that just happens really quick out of nowhere, which is really what happened. And it just is. You know, Jess shows up and you have no control, because when you put your stuff up there, anybody can contact you and you don't know where it's going to go. And same thing with the police towards the end. And it's just, that's kind of like how fast some of these things actually happen. So to me, it was appropriate because you saw like the emotional pieces that people were dealing with, while in terms of the DNA in their family, while also still trying to manage all of the other mess of their lives. Because let's be real, this stuff never happens in isolation.
Right. There's always more to it for sure. Yeah. I agree. So, when we think about this particular story, and the characters, is there a different kind of ending you would have wanted for the characters? Or are the outcomes, Lauren's obviously divorce, Kate gets a baby boy, are there
I think it would have been boring if the father had did it. I think the story would have been boring if the father would have did it. It would have been like, oh, why would I read that book? But I think because the mother did it, it just made it more interesting. So, but I think if the father had actually did it, like Danielle said, we couldn't talk to him. We can't ask him any questions.
Right.
So,
because I think that mom got problems. Like, I think she has issues. So
yes.
It makes sense that she did it. Right. It makes sense that she did it. But I feel like they're tarnishing that man's name. We don't know. I don't know.
And Kate knew her dad in a way where she just knew it's just not the kind of man that he was. Now, she did realize, obviously, he clearly, had affairs. Rose evidently, had been counting them. Nobody knew about that. So that was really.
But we don't know if they didn't have an agreement. Some people have agreements. So.
I can honestly say all of us too, our daughters are daddy's daughters too. So like, I know most of y'all are like daddy's daughter, like Danielle, straight daddy's daughter. And I think Daria and Alana were too. No? Oh, well, I was.
More me than my sister.
Was, yeah. Would you say, Alana?
I would say for me also.
When we were kids, it was more me than my sister.
Yeah.
As adults, before my dad got sick, he related to my sister more.
Mm-hmm. I remember when y'all were little, like you and him a lot.
In the same way he did as a kid, and he would still try to like play fight with me at 30. And I'm like, stop.
But then things change too over time. And Shanice, to your question, I mean, I'm one of 3 girls. So, there's a ranking order in my family. I am not, I was till like my second sister was born. My third, I guess there's 3 of us. The youngest was born. So I think it ebbs and flows. And I think it's based on topics and it's based on, different choices. So it's interesting, the dynamics, but I think that we all have our feelings about what, our parents, father or mother would and wouldn't do, but that doesn't mean we're always right either, I think that's an interesting, situation, but I think we probably would all fiercely defend either parent, whether or not we were right or wrong.
Yeah, but it's interesting though that, and as I'm thinking about it now, that the father was closer to Kate because that relationship wasn't tainted by the abortion and the secret that the 3 of them kept.
Right.
And the fact that, Lauren, she was thinking that this was the dad, but it was the mom manipulating the dad.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm so glad she called her on.
The bad guy so that mom could come out.
Rescue. Be the rescue. What were you going to say, Danielle?
I don't even remember.
I don't know, but I don't want to leave Elisa out.
Don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
She said that that she's just happy Katie didn't lose her baby because she was worried. And yes. I think we all were. I thought that stress was real stressful for someone that was in her situation.
Definitely.
So wait, I found myself praying for her.
And that baby, right? Character. Huh?
that girl, the half sister that came out was going to take the baby. Is that her plan?
No, I think it was for the other girl that was her roommate.
She was going to move.
She was in foster care with.
Yeah, the girl that she was going to move her out of the foster care home and bring her to like a better place. I think that was.
She had a baby.
Yeah, that's why I rewound the last chapter.
Her roommate,
I wasn't sure.
Her sister, her foster care sister, the ones that they went to.
One thing I was trying to figure out was Justin resurfacing, and was that, and was that all coincidence, or was that somehow wrapped up in, like, I mean, by the end of the story, it just seemed like it's coincidental, right? That it happened at the same time. There was no,
I think that's how life happens. Like, right? Like, you're going through all this and then bam, like that seemed real.
But you know, so he was the one who gave like that key piece of information about, like, hey, no, it wasn't your dad, it was your mom that told me.
Yeah,
right.
It's just like, you know, how other things ended up being revealed, where it was like, hey, hey, Daria, let's talk.
Right.
And, you know, and then like how like people, it's like the whole people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And because Justin even had said, like, maybe we were supposed to come back together at this time.
He did. He did.
We needed to have these other experiences.
Yeah. But also, he also wanted to, for the main reason of, you know, what you said, he was able to also say, like, no, what you had in your mind is not what happened. You know, it was your mom, you know, it wasn't your father. So you've been mad at your dad this whole time, and it really wasn't, you know, it wasn't him at all.
One thing
so I thought that was
coincidental.
No. I do think it was a coincidence, but it really added to the story.
Yeah, it did.
I was just going to say, Justin was intriguing because he had kids that were 17, 18 years old, or 60, something like that.
Yeah,
so that means that he got married like right after the situation. So he really was ready to have the baby. So it was
normal man. They don't, their transition time is quick.
Yeah. He said normal man.
Very true.
I mean, if they like women, love women, they're not going that long without a woman. It's just
correct.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he was ready for a family. And I think he would have probably stayed with her if they had that baby.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, if they had the opportunity. Yeah. Agreed. But I think
they were lied to and manipulated.
Right. And the wife was probably a rebound. Like, he didn't probably love her. He loved so
Lauren, which is why they ended up not together.
He was heartbroken.
Yeah. And she was too. Lauren was as well. And Lauren was dating, and she was like, I guess I'll settle on Simon.
Trash.
Simon.
Simon. I guess I'll, you know, I'm getting older. Might as well settle down with him, because her kids are so much younger. You know.
Totally.
Yeah.
She had a 5-month-old.
Yeah, she did.
Like, she had them quick.
Yeah.
Back to back.
Yeah.
Back to back.
And I think abortions affect women differently than men, you know, like.
It's our bodies.
It's our bodies. It's emotional. Like, even though you may want to get rid of the baby, that's still your baby. So you still feel some way. And
right.
But there's something to it for the man to not be able to ultimately have a say. And, you know, because I mean, I've known men who have been like deeply bothered by the abortion occurred and it was not what they wanted. And others who were just like, whatever, you know, so like there's a wide range. And I've also met women who treat abortions like birth control.
Right.
You know, so there's a huge spectrum for both.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There is. I mean, you know, and those conversations when you're 16 versus 36, you know, everybody's going to have some different perspective about that. And it seemed like they were more mature than 16 years old, 17 years old. That's what I got from how they talked about their younger selves and that kind of love. But I do know people who met the person they married and they're still together, and they met in high school. And then for some other people, there's no way they could imagine their high school self falling in love with the person they would spend the rest of their life with. So I think that there is range as well, you know, and in terms of a maturity level.
You know, I didn't like Lauren. I didn't like that she lied and said she didn't have kids. Like, how do you not own to your kids? Like, I don't, you know, then you left them with a complete stranger, you know, like your half sister, you don't really know her. You leave your kids with her. Like, yeah, I didn't like her.
The desperation.
I'll let y'all know that.
I just thought she was desperate.
I felt like she was extremely desperate. And I thought, my gosh, wow, to be so isolated and to have so little choice in the matter was what I got from that. You know, how an abuser can isolate you. You know, these Sunday meals you're making painful and gross for me. You know, this is my family meal. Simon, you are making it horrible for everybody. And I hate living with you. And now I feel trapped. Like, I felt all the things that she could feel. And then that would push someone to desperation to say, like, well, she really wants a sister, so I'm going to give her like a sister duty. And she's not going to judge me like Kate would. So
Kate was kind of judgmental.
She was like super judgy. So
super judgmental. Like
just
because your relationship is so good doesn't mean you have to put,
Right. What did Elisa say, Shanice?
Well, let me see. It says this book was really made me evaluate the power of mothers and how careful I need to be as a mother with my own children. This mother manipulated Lauren when she was pregnant with Justin's baby. Was she pregnant with Justin's baby?
Yeah, that's what she was.
That's abortion, baby.
Yeah, that's the baby.
Oh, back in the day. I got you. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. It's a really good point. I mean,
was a very dramatic year for that family.
Yeah.
Oh, and she has another question. She has a question.
Good. What is
she says, do you think the love Justin and Lauren have for each other is realistic after so long? Like they are back in love after all that time passed? Yeah, I can honestly
absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
I also said yes, so we'll just leave it there.
And we will leave it right there.
Yeah.
For the YouTube. That's a Saturday cocktail type of conversation.
Great question, though, Elisa. Great.
That's a very good question. Elisa, what do you think? Answer in the comments. That was a good question. Yes.
That person.
What'd you say, Lana?
I said, I think everybody has that person. There's that person for like who, if you were able to reconnect with that person under different circumstances, you could skip off into the sunset, live happily ever after. But
I don't have that person. I'm just thinking if I did some dumb stuff and lost Larry, I would be like 10 years later, come back. And of course I'm blaming myself, but
why?
But I've had people, like I had somebody that I did miss for a while, but I do think some people do have that, like, it's just the wrong time or the wrong circumstances.
Yeah, situational.
Yeah,
like a situation, and then it just doesn't match up. It doesn't line up, or
and people grow and change. People grow and change, and so you may find later on in life that you have grown and changed into something that's more consistent with what it needs to be with that other person. But you also have the foundation from the past as a grounding point. Yeah. So
it's a great question,
Lisa.
Great question.
She's laughing over there, she said.
Yeah, for sure. So any final thoughts about this book that we've read, our third book by Sandie Jones? Any
what do y'all think is going to happen to Simon?
He'll get somebody else and abuse somebody else.
Yeah, he's going to find another woman that he can abuse.
The kind of behavior doesn't change. I mean, unfortunately, I do appreciate that, Lauren, of course, at the court hearing said, he's being civil. I think the word was civil.
Like he's being civil now or something.
Civil.
Right?
Yeah, a year later, civil. So, no, I'm sure he's moving on to the next, quite frankly.
Still be part of the manipulation.
Yeah.
Sometimes the kindness is part of the manipulation.
But she was with Justin, and they were going to do the barbecue. So Kate and Matt and Justin and Lauren were going to have the barbecue, and they were going to invite Jess, which I thought was a nice, inclusive opportunity.
I mean, what could be interesting as a sequel might be like how the kids are going to grow up after having seen and experienced this, like Lauren's kids. Her 3 kids.
Really, Noah. Because Noah's the only one that's really old enough.
Like no grandmother anymore.
That and just, it's like, where are you going, Mom? Why don't you stay? Like, I want you to stay here with me. But he knew, like,
he did
was going out someplace she didn't need to be.
I think it's good that she got out while they're young, because like they'll probably just remember a good life with Justin instead of, you know, that saying it's better to be from a broken home than in a broken home. So I feel like that, like luckily they didn't see the abuse or the lack of love, because there'll be children that grow up and they're not going to know how to love their spouse or their partner. And so I think the kids are going to be fine because of Justin.
I mean, they had that traumatic experience.
Got something. She just
with Jess and the knife, you know. I mean, so hopefully they don't remember that. Go ahead, Shani. Sorry.
Sorry, no, that's me. She just said the ending was a little predictable for her, and it was like a woman scorned. It was trauma, I guess what you just said, Danielle. Like
because that
trauma for the kids.
Yeah,
I think it is predictable because of the fact that people will go to extraordinary lengths to protect themselves and their secrets.
Yeah.
And the mom, she was going to keep lying if she had to, because she was throwing out other names, you know, trying to throw them off the scent.
Yep.
And was going to continue to just even eventually just let her husband just go down for it and just be dirty. But
well, he had already passed, right? So
right.
You know, how often do you speak ill of the dead? You know, so I think she was relying on that, really kind of banking on it.
But if they didn't get all those blood work, if her daughter Kate didn't do all that blood work stuff and Lauren and all them, then they probably would have never figured that part out.
Agreed. Yeah.
Trust the science.
But I couldn't understand why she was doing that.
Like, why did Lauren do that, right?
Yeah, like no, it was Kate, wasn't it Kate?
No, Lauren did it.
It was Lauren.
Lauren did it. One getting the hair.
Yep.
Oh, Kate went to just
she was trying to find out who that baby
broke
was.
into her house.
Yeah,
like she was trying to see if she was really the half sister.
Yeah,
yeah. She really was the mom's baby.
She did.
Thought it was Rose's baby.
Yeah, I thought she was doing too much.
I think Lauren was doing too much.
That goes back to, I mean, when your gut tells you something's off, you're going to go to great lengths to try to figure out the truth.
Right.
Great lengths.
Yeah, you will. And I think Kate was again looking to also clear her father's name in that moment. Yeah. So that's really what was propelling her.
And that's why I won't do a DNA test.
What? Why?
Because I don't want to. My dad's dead. I look at him like he was amazing. I ain't letting nothing mess that up. No.
I told you, daddy's girl.
Daddy's girl. Like I ain't going down like that. And I'm explaining to my mom I gotta have sisters I don't want to meet anyway. Nah, I ain't doing that. Nope.
Right.
Nope.
But you know your why, right? And as long as you know your why, like you're good.
Good.
You're good. And you know, that's it.
Well, that's a blessing. That's a blessing, actually.
And
exactly.
It's also sometimes how the stuff comes out. Like,
yeah, let's be clear. If it was brought to me and someone was in my face, then yes, I would do all the exploring.
But you're not trying to.
Right. Nobody's knocking on my door. Nothing's in my face. So
it's very and you know, to your point, Danielle, you know, like my sister did just like where your the ancestry part, and like did not check the boxes or whatever it is for like all the other information. She just wanted to know like the ethnicity part. So I think everybody does it how they want to do it based on
everybody I know that's done it. They got these half people all over. Like,
yeah.
Okay,
well,
we got another question. It's a good one too.
Okay, at least with the questions. I like her.
I know she's coming up with some really good questions tonight. Would you have and I thought about this. I forgot about this. Would you have forgiven Jess for holding your kid hostage to get answers?
Oh, well, and with a knife.
And with a knife, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was intense. I was triggered by that. I don't think I could forgive that personally.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry. I'll never hold Javon and Devin with a knife.
You know, I don't think I'll be able to forgive myself, really. It wouldn't really be her. It'd just be that I put my children in harm's way with this stranger. And I would really, like, I think about these, like, I'll never repeat what it is. Like, there's a thing with Kenny that bothers me when he was a kid, a thing with Kai. And they're not big things, but they're things that it's like, oh my gosh, that could have went, you know? And I still feel like, oh, I should have done that differently. So it would be more so like I wouldn't forgive, me. But
Mama guilt.
But I feel like Jess was being strategic in what she was doing because she wanted to see what she could do to get them to admit to about like the killing her mom and abandoning her, to see what would come out, because there was on some level a protection of the baby, and just to see what, like how far it was going to have to go to get the truth out. I'm not saying that there should be forgiveness, but
the desperation part though
going to hurt the baby. But
yeah, because I think if she was going to, she would have. But the idea of putting yourself in the situation, I mean, I think to your point, Danielle, like I created a lot of this, Lauren. I created this situation, this person coming in and having all of this. Like I created this situation. So,
and that's hard holding the baby in a knife. Like think about that. It's a 5-month-old in a knife for that long.
Right.
But the mom was still trying to lie.
She was.
Yeah.
And then finally Lauren was like, look, Mom, like I already know. Like I know you're lying because here's what Justin told me. And like so it was like she had to be confronted with some of her other lies in order to finally come out with it, which is so problematic that the mom may have been willing to like risk one of her grandkids.
Well,
so which lets you know, like people will go to all kinds of lengths to
protect themselves.
Yep.
And when they think it's their family, but it's not. It's really themselves or their belief of what they had, right? This whole idea, this, you know, this beautiful picture in your mind, and people go to all lengths to protect that. Yep. You know, he's supposed to only love me. He's only supposed to want me. Well, it doesn't look like that, Rose. It looks like, you know, it looks like something different. So it's not that. So we are at the end of our time. We've got May knocking on our door on Saturday.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, it's here.
Wait, I have a question. Can I ask a question for you?
Of course.
Are there other, like, I feel like I want to read more of her books. So
yeah, I mean,
I think she's only written 3 books, right?
I think this might be it. Yeah.
I thought there was another one that we didn't read, but I don't want to go back if it's like 10 years old or nothing like that. But
she has another book coming out in August.
Oh, okay.
And then another one that's supposed to be published next year.
Oh.
Great. So 2021 and 2022.
The Guilt Trip. She has a book called The Guilt Trip coming out.
Ooh. Well, we should make sure we have it on our list.
We have to add that.
Yeah. Because did we read together? Because I don't remember if we read it together or if I just read it on my own. The First Mistake.
I think we read it.
Yeah, we did.
I don't remember what the first mistake was though. What was it, y'all? You guys remember?
Let me look.
I think it was about the friends, and then the friend starts seeing the husband.
Oh.
Something like that.
I feel like we read about it.
The woman, like her husband had died and she had met this new guy.
A new husband.
And then and he was ultimately like really trying to get and he was like the brother.
Yeah, it was like something with friends. I actually read the summary yesterday and it's not even ringing a bell for me now, but basically it was like a new marriage. You're right, Alana. And then her friend got involved in the relationship. Somehow.
It seems like she has a lot of stories about like relationships and betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
So she's probably been through some stuff.
And that's what we like to read. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you can't write about this stuff this authentically unless you've been through some stuff.
Then let me write some books.
I think I can write books, but I feel like everybody, has been through. But
right, and I
don't know.
Well, I'll speak for myself. I can write some books.
Ditto.
Oh yeah, I still have the chapters, Danielle. I still have the chapters written down somewhere of what.
And I think and I love that. Of course, they take place in London. I think she might be a British author as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks, Alana. And so I think that also adds to it. I just think the art of storytelling. And that British flair is very interesting to me too. Just like the location and placement and the storyline. So they generally are that. Well, all I was going to say about May is that we've got another couple of books. Yes, chapter 1. And so the books for May, we've got 2. And so I don't know which one we're going to be doing, but on the YouTube, but we'll let everybody know in May, because I don't know if we've made a decision on that yet.
We have 2 books on the list for May. One is The Guest List by Lucy Foley,
which is, I think, the one that we like to share with everyone because it's like a psychological thriller.
Okay. And the second is Holler at the Moon by Tanisha Davis.
Yes. So I think we'll be able to take a look at our calendars, send additional details, but I think the guest list, which has been trending on a lot of different lists, including Goodreads and Lit Lovers, will be the one that we talk about in a few weeks' time. But there are more days in May, not that, one more day anyway, but it's almost here. So start reading, and catch up with it. And so everybody can join us.
You said by Lucy Foley?
Yes.
Lucy Foley, The Guest List. Yes. Foley.
Yeah.
And we'll announce the date soon, right?
We will, because we'll look at our schedules and, we're about to be.
Are we doing that like a month from now and then doing our other one in 2 weeks and then this one in a month, or is this going to be the 2-weeker?
That's a great question.
I think we could do this one towards the end of the month and do the other one first. That'd be my vote.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
So give people a month to read.
Yes. Well, and as you know, we love suggestions. We do have a couple of books picked out for the next few months, but we are going to be in 2022 like so fast. We're going to blink and it'll be here. So as you are thinking about authors and thinking about different types of books you'd like to read, always let us know what you're interested in as well, so we can add it to our list.
Who picked this book out? Do we remember?
I think it was Alana.
Alana?
It was Alana.
Alana only picks winners.
Yeah.
You have, girl. One for you.
You're on it. Well, thanks everyone for your time tonight.
The authors that we read where I'm like, I'm trusting these authors now. There's certain ones where I'm like, I'm good.
That's true.
What they're writing about.
That's what I mean. I want to read more of her books. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think she's got a couple more coming, but I think we caught her at a good time, Sandie Jones, when we caught her when she was on her way up, so to speak. So, all right, well, we'll sign off. And you know what we always say, some books we want to live the book. Some books we just want to, peek into the experience. So thanks for your
we've
time
already
tonight.
lived parts of the book. This book is like we lived
parts of this book. Good point. Good point. All right, everybody, don't forget to live the book. Take care.
Live the book.